The next thing on the agenda is to find and use inverse functions. We're going to start by looking at inverse relations. Okay, gotta get the pen. Sorry about that. Inverse relations. Inverse relations are different from inverse functions in that you don't have to start with a function. The idea of an inverse is it undoes what has been done. So the input and output switch. So if here is my original function, my inverse function, notice it switched the x and the y around. Same thing here. Here's the y, here's the x, and they switch. And you can compare them. Okay, that's what an inverse does. Undoes what it does. The graph of an inverse relation is a reflection of the graph of the original relation across the line y equals x. Okay, so I have written down what we had. The original was 0, 1. You see my pen is going to be honoring. 4, 3. 5, 4. Negative 2, 0. And 3, negative 1. Okay, so if I do the inverse, that switches my x and y. Okay, so now instead of 3, negative 1, it's negative 1, 3. Instead of 4, 3, it's now 3, 4. Instead of 5, 4, it's 4, 5. Instead of negative 2, 0, it's 0, negative 2. And now I'm going to put in that line y equals x. You see what happened? Okay, so the reflection is across the line from each other. Okay, it's mirroring it across that line. Okay, the original may or may not be a function. The inverse may or may not be a function. This was just a pairing. But as we do more, you're going to see that they will reflect across that line. And in order for an inverse function and function to reflect, we're going to have to put some limits in the domain or the range. Okay, to find the inverse of a function, find the inverse of a relation that's given by the equation of the form y equals, here's what you do. You write your original function. Okay, so if you have y equals 2x minus 3, we're going to switch the x and y. So I'm just going to rewrite it as x equals 2y minus 3. And now I'm going to solve for y. So you have worked enough to get y alone. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And then I have to divide out the 2. So my inverse is going to be y equals half of x plus 3 halves. And that's the inverse. So now if I put the number 5 in for x in my original. So if I put 5 in, that'd be 10 minus 3, I'll get 7 for y. Okay, now when I put it into the inverse, I need to put the y in here. So I would have 7 over 2 plus 3 over 2. That will be 10 over 2. And you guys are all smart. You know that's 5. So we have found the inverse. One undoes the other. Likewise, if I were to pick a number to put in the inverse relation, for example, I don't care, 11. I would have 11 over 2 plus 3 over 2 for 14 over 2 or 7. Now if I put 7 in here, that would be 14 minus 3 is 11. So they do undo each other. Okay, for inverse functions, all we have to realize is that the original and the inverse relation are both functions. Okay, when they are inverse functions, composition undoes each other. Okay, the inverse of function f could be denoted as f inverse rather than g of x. Okay, you could do f inverse, or you could say the inverse is g of x. Okay, we don't say f to the negative 1. That would reciprocal. We read that as f inverse. Okay, didn't I just do this? I think I did. And that's probably why I remembered those numbers. So again, to switch this, I would go x equals 2y minus 3, and now I'd solve it for y. So I'd get x plus 3 equals 2y, so I'd have to divide out the 2. Okay, so I'm going to have the inverse, my inverse here, to be x over 2 plus 3 over 2. Okay, now we're supposed to verify. So that means if I take the first function and I do the f of g of x, so this is my g of x, this is my f of x, okay? And then the other one, I'm going to have my g of f of x. So I'm going to do the g of 2y minus 3. So I will have y equals 2y minus 3 over 2 plus 3 over 2. Okay. So when I simplify that, I'll get y over 2 minus 3 over 2 plus 3 over 2, and it simplifies back to just that y. And I think I was supposed to use x. I'm sorry. I put the y in instead of x. So this was supposed to be an x. This is supposed to be an x. This is supposed to be an x. And likewise here, when I take the x over 2 plus 3 over 2, and I distribute my 2, I'll get x plus 3 minus 3 and end up with x. Okay? So again, I want to verify that f and f inverses are inverse functions. I think I'm right. So I'm going to do f of f inverse. Sorry, that's supposed to be minus. This is not working up to speed. And I'm going to do f inverse of f. So on this one, I'm going to do the 3 times and replace my x with my f inverse stuff. X over 3 plus 5 over 3. And I think you see that cleans up to x plus 5 minus 5, which is x, what we expected it to be. On this one, when we do the f inverse, I'm going to have whatever over 3 plus 5 over 3. And my f of x is the 3x minus 5. So I'm going to end up with x minus 5 over 3 plus 5 over 3. And that again simplifies to x. That's verifying. Okay, so one is going to undo the other. You want to show that. Okay. I want to find the inverse of this function. So I'm going to start going y equals x squared minus 4. That's my original. So then I'm going to switch my x and y. Like the directions. and solve for y. So I will add 4 to both sides equals y squared. So y will equal square root of x plus 4. Okay, now we have to think about this. Do we need plus or minus? I want you to think about that. Okay. We want to graph this so you can see what I'm talking about. The y equals x squared minus 4, I think you'll recognize as a parabola that goes through the point 0, negative 4, and it's not shifted right or left. So we're going to be okay. The square root function is going to say, well, if I have the square root, put in negative 4 for x, the square root of negative 4 is, the square root of 0 is 0. And if I put 0 in for x, the square root of 4 is 2 or negative 2. So do you see that that's going to reflect, and I did do a great job with my intervals there, but do you see how that reflects across that? But the blue is not a function. Okay, the blue is not a function. The green is, but the blue is not a function because it fails the vertical line test. So when we look at if it has a function or not, or excuse me, if a function has an inverse or not, what we need to check is, does it pass the horizontal line test? Remember, it's a function if no matter what vertical line I use, okay, I will have a no point. At no point will my line pass through more than one point. There's not a point that the line will touch twice. Okay, but for the horizontal line test, okay, you're looking at a horizontal line now. Is there any point where your horizontal line is touching more than one y for the, or more than one x for the same y? And of course, there are several right here in this range. Right in that range, there's a bunch. This would not have an inverse. And that's what happened here. This would fail the horizontal line test, and I should have made that a different color. Okay, it would fail the horizontal line test. So it would actually not have an inverse unless we limit the domain. If I go back and say for x greater than or equal to 0, then I'm not using this part of my graph. And then this part would come off of the inverse. I would say that y would equal the positive only square root of x plus 4. So sometimes we have to take into account what is the domain so that we limit our range. Right? So do you see what will happen here? The 1/2 x squared plus 1, again, is a parabola. The plus 1 moves it up. The 1/2 makes it a little bit skinnier, or excuse me, wider. And this means only have the right-hand side, the right-hand branch. So when I do the inverse, it is going to be a reflection across that line, y equals x. So it's only going to be this part. Okay, and then we could go and do the algebra if we wish, but at least we have found what we need to limit our domain for. If we were going to solve this, okay, I guess I need the pen. For the inverse, okay, I would subtract 1 and times by 2, and then I'd have to square root both sides, and I'd want the positive 1. So that would be my inverse. And I'm about out of time, so we're going to consider this another time.